This is the only video you need to watch to become a master at using the arranger on the MPC 3.0. And I get it, you may be hesitating because it's a bit new, or even thinking about downgrading because it feels a bit complicated.
I put my jacket on 1,000 times, and I took it off 1,000 times. This is stupid. I'm done.
But I promise you, after watching this entire video, you'll feel much more comfortable using it. You'll learn how to transform your loops into full songs by creating a song structure that keeps the listener engaged. And I'm gonna be showing you all this step by step, so even if you're a beginner, it's gonna be easy to follow along. So let's just get into it. So I have this beat pulled up, and I made this beat all on one program. And if I go to the arranger mode, you can see that it's all on one track, and it sounds like this. Now you don't have to do the same format to follow along, because what I'm about to do next is I actually want to split this track so I can have a better view of all my tracks at once, and it's just going to make the workflow a lot more easier. So the way that you would do that is just go to the main screen, and you want to go to the pencil tool right here, and it's going to say explode tracks, and you just click that. So now all the sounds that was in that one program is now tracked out, and I could just scroll through, and a quicker way to see your tracks is just to hold down main. And you can see it right here. And I could also just go to the arranger mode, and now I can see all my tracks on the left hand side. Now, one important thing before you get into arranging your beat is you want to stay organized, because if you're in the arranger and you're zoomed out, or you have many tracks, it's going to get hard to tell what tracks is what. And if you didn't name them properly, you're going to constantly be zooming in and out, and that's going to get very tedious very quickly. So a way to avoid this so you can stay organized is go to our mixer, and from here we could just double tap and start naming everything. So if I scroll up a bit, now I have the option to rename it. So I could just name this open hat and press do it and press close. Now you can see I also have a second open hat over here. When I have multiples of the same sound, I want them to be close to each other, so it's a lot easier in the workflow. And I have the snare right here. I can easily move that over by double clicking, and then where it says position, I can go to the position that I want, which is just where I want the track to be. And I want it to be track 4, and then press close. Now my snare is right next to my other snare. So make sure you go through and name everything and organize your tracks in the right order. And another thing we can stay organized with is our color coding. So we could just double tap right here, and if you scroll down to colors, you can see you could go to whatever color you want. I could choose green, and now this is green. And you don't only have to do this from the mixer screen either. You could go to main, you could hold down on the track, and you'll get the same options right here. So I'm just going to skip ahead and rename and color code everything. All right, so I have my first track in gray, and that's where all the MIDI is, which is the drum program. And I just named it Venom Beat. And I have my kick and snare in red, and I have my hi-hats and percussions in yellow, and I have my 808 in purple, and the rest of the sounds in green. Now it's a lot easier to look at, and now we can navigate through our arranger a lot easier. Now the next crucial step is to bounce some of your MIDI into audio tracks, if not all of them, but mainly the ones that have a tell at the end of the sound, because if you don't do that, then it's going to start to bleed into the next bar. So for example, so you're hearing that tell at the end of the sound, and we don't want that. We want to be able to like stop our track as soon as we press stop. Now the way you would do that is just click on the track, hold it down, and then I could just bounce to audio track. And you want it to have 0 tell. So then bounce it. And I'm just going to go ahead and bounce the guitar and the pads. All right, so now I have my audio tracks, and you have two options. You can either go to your mutes and just mute the original sounds, or instead of doing that, you could just go back to the arranger view and just delete the tracks. Now personally, I'm just going to delete the tracks, because when I'm ready to bounce it to stems, I don't want to have the bounce samples and the MIDI samples. It's just going to make it a lot cleaner. So I could just go ahead, track 10, and just press delete track. And it may be hard to see, but the waveforms are there. If I zoom in, you could clearly see them. I also would suggest doing this before your arrangement, because once you start copying over bars, it will take longer in the render time. So do it when you have a 2-bar loop, 4-bar loop, 8-bar loop, and then you don't have to worry about it later on. Now let's talk about song arrangement real quick. As you can see, it says 4 bars, but we're on 150 BPM. Now this is important to point out so you can count the right amount of bars for each section, because usually in trap music or hip hop, the clap is landing on the 2 and the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Technically, if we're counting the beats the same and we're just moving up the tempos, it's going to be a lot faster than that. And here's an example of how it will really sound if this beat was in 150. So now that we got that out the way, now we can go through the arrangement without being confused about, oh, 4 bars or is this 2 bars? Now we can start extending out this loop. So I'm just gonna go to edit and I'm gonna press double the length. So now we at 8 bars, which is actually our 4 bars, and we can make our intro from here. And I also want to go back to edit, and instead of doing double the length, I want to copy the bars and use a bit of math here. So we know that it says 8 bars, but we know it's 4. So I actually want to extend this out twice so we can have our hook plus the intro. So let's merge that. So now if you look at the audio tracks, you can see that split in 4s. So this is our hook right here and our intro right here. And we can control our loop just by using our Q link. Make sure you're on Q link 1. And the second one is going to pull it from the front. And the third one is going to pull it from the end. And we can also move the loop with our finger. So now we have our 4-bar loop. So as far as song structure go, it varies. And the only way to get better at song structure is just to listen to other songs and analyze and count with it. How long is the intro? How long is the hook? Hooks are usually 8 though, so you can't get that wrong, and verses. So to make an engaging intro, you want to not bring in everything at once. So I'm actually going to take out the drums. And as you can see, I still have this drum program with all my MIDI on it. So I actually want to delete that, and I want to delete that for the whole sequence. Now, while I have that track selected, I'm just gonna press erase. And the cool thing about the 3.0 and the arranger is from here now, I can start erasing whatever is in that loop section. I'm gonna press do it, and you can see it erase everything in that entire loop. And even though that track is automatically set to mute once you explode the tracks, I still wanna be able to play around with that program. So that's why I erased it. So I also wanna go to my mutes and then unmute it. So now I can mess with my tag. I can mess with the riser. So then I could bring this loop in to work on this 4-bar section. And then I could just go down in the order and just erase. Erase the kick from there and erase the snare. And I'm just gonna go through it real quick. So a couple ways we could spice up this intro is by muting some sounds and then have it come into the hook to have that contrast. And another cool thing about the audio tracks, I could just go here, hold down and press mute. So right now I'm just muting the guitars, so it sounds like this. And another cool thing that we can do is go to the keys. I could also hold down and reverse the keys. And something like that, you could get away with having a 2-bar intro and just going right into the drums. So if I want to make this a 2-bar intro and then go right into the hook, I can't just delete it from here because it's just going to leave an empty space. What I got to do is bring this loop for this section right here, press edit, and then delete those bars. And the cool thing about that is going to choose that loop, press do it, then it's going to push the hook in that slot. So now I can play it from here. And I could click on my track 1 and this will be the intro. All right, cool. So now we can work on a hook. And for the hook, all I'm just going to do is just bring this loop over. And since the hook is 8 bars, I like to split it in half, so 4 and 4, and have the other half just be different from the first one. So I could just bring this cursor over to the other half of the bars because I like how this hook is already. And what I can do is reverse the guitar, so that should be interesting. And I could just reverse that. When I hear it together, it should sound like this. Yeah, dude, that's hard. Now from here, I want to start working on my verse. Now real quick, if you're getting value from this video and from my other videos and you want to find a way to show some support, I don't really release a lot of products because I really just want to put a lot of time in them and just make it valuable to you guys. But I do have 2 ebooks out, and I also have my affiliate links that you guys can use, whether it's for the gear or Akai plugins. And also there's a thing on YouTube called Thanks, and it should be below the video, and you can support that way. And I can also leave my Cash App just to make it easier. But anyways, let's get back to the video, man. And I just want to go to edit and then copy this bar and just merge it. So now I got another set of 8. And then from here, what I want to do is copy the last section. And then from here, I just want to go to edit and copy the bars again. And I just want to take those last 4 bars to make it a 12-bar verse. So now you can see I have 8 bars right here. Now I have 12 if I bring it right here. And then I have my other 8 bars and the intro. So let's start working on the verse. So for the verse, you just want to start off mellow so that it can go back up and have that contrast going back into the hook. So if you think about it frequency wise, you could take out the high frequency elements. I have my open hats that brought a lot of energy to the track, and what I'm gonna do is just bring my cursor over for the first section and then go to my open hats and then just erase those. And then it's also good to eliminate some of the sounds so that the hook can stand out more. So I'm gonna just go ahead and mute my guitar, and I'm gonna mute the pad. So now I have something like this. Keeping it simple. And then I could just bring it over to the next set. So you see how smooth this is. I could just bring it over in this work section to section. So now I still want to have the guitars muted and have the pads play, and then I can introduce the open hats again, but I'm probably just going to leave the second open hats, which are right here, and delete the first ones. We're just going to go to erase again, press do it. Let's hear how this sounds. So yeah, you just want a subtle difference going in from the 4 into the next 4 into the next 4 into the next 4 if you're doing the 16 bars or 12 bars. Just every 4 bars you want to switch it up. So for the last 4 bars, I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to really switch it up to make it different. So I could think about it like a bridge. I can go back to being mellow, and then it's going to have that huge contrast when the hook comes back in. I could pull this off by muting the keys, and then I could also get rid of the hi-hats. So this is a common thing that you may hear in a couple of tracks where they will just have the bass and the kick playing with the melody, and then it goes into the hook. And I want to take out the open hats as well, and probably take out that second snare. And let's hear it. There you go. That's hard. I forgot the guitars was even reversed. And one more quick thing we could do is go to the last bar and drop out those kicks and the 808. So our kick is right here, erase that. And then our 808 is right here. And let's erase that last snare. Do it. And then that will go back into the hook. Here's the cool part now. I could actually set up a marker to distinguish what is what. So right here I have my 12 bars. Since I have this part looped, what I can do is just hold down shift and press set. So I'm gonna actually set it on the third one. It don't matter which one, because you can actually just go right here where it says bars and beats, double tap, and go to the locator tab, and you can always switch it around. But just to keep it easy, I'm just going to name this verse, and I can edit the color as well. Let's just go with, let's say, C. Okay, that's cool. And then what I can do is go to this section, hold down shift, put that second locator, double tap, so we can rename it and call that hook. Do it. And then from here, we can go get those 2 bars in the beginning, hold down shift, set, double tap, and call this our intro. So now the cool part about this is I could jump around just by, holding down shift and hitting verse, and it will go to that loop section. So anytime I want to jump around, I could just easily do that just by going to hook, boom, going to intro, boom, go back to hook. And what I want to do to actually finish off the song is get that hook and the verse. So I just want to go to edit, copy bars, and then do merge. You can see the hook is back over here, and then the verse as well. Now, the only thing that's kind of funky about this, I'm not gonna lie, is that the locators didn't copy over as well. So you may have to go back in and do it manually. But I'm not gonna make a big deal out of nothing. And that's the thing right there too. A lot of you guys face one obstacle and then you just kind of be turned off by the whole thing. And it's like, come on. You don't really need that. It's nothing for me to just go back in and add new locators right there. I can add back the other two if I want it. And then the last thing I want to do is just bring this loop again and then copy the hook over one more time. So you just want to read from right here where it says 45, that's going to be your starting point. So then I go to edit, copy those bars. Now 45 to 60, that's what we want, but we want to actually bring this towards the last part. So that would be 84, merge. Now if we go back over here, we have our hook again. And then once we have that hook, let's bring our cursor over there. Then I want to do that one more time. Copy that and merge. So now we have our hook. And then we could just drop out all the elements. And I probably would just delete these bars right here. Delete that. So then I'll just have the hook go into the outro. The outro could be like another 2 bars. We could even reverse the keys again. Yeah, so there you go. You have your whole song right there, man. And I'm just going to show you quickly how you can just export it and have all the stems. So it may be tedious to bring that loop all the way back to the intro. So what you can do is just go to main. All you have to do is just change your starting point to 0. And then now you will have your loop again, go back to the arranger and everything will be looped. Then you can just go to main, go to save, and then go to all tracks. Now, audio mixdown in all tracks is a bit similar, but not necessarily. All tracks is where you're really going to start stemming it now. Then I'll just export it. Make sure you go to your SD drive, make a folder, be organized, have it called track out, and then you'll be done. So if you found this video helpful, but it was still a bit too fast for you and you didn't really understand the navigations on the MPC 3.0, I actually have a whole video going into depth how to really go about using the MPC 3, and you can check that out right here. And if you like this video, like and subscribe and share with your other producer friends. Peace.